Tavausi, Magama. Greetings, everyone, and dear Yolanda, thank you so much for the kind introduction. I'm so pleased to have been invited to participate in this dialogue. Although many of you may already be aware of this, as chair, I think it is important for me to start off by explaining that the Permanent Forum is an advisory body of the Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC, and it is mandated to provide expert advice on matters concerning Indigenous peoples, promote coordination across the UN system, and follow up on the implementation on the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, otherwise known as UNDRIP. The forum is a unique global platform that brings together Indigenous peoples from the 7 sociocultural regions, member states, and UN entities to advance collective understanding and action. In this context, and for the purpose of this discussion, I thought it would be appropriate to start off by reading Article 25 of the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, which makes reference to waters. It reads, Indigenous peoples have the right to maintain and strengthen their distinctive spiritual relationship with their traditionally owned or otherwise occupied and used lands, territories, waters, and coastal seas, and other resources, and to uphold their responsibilities for future generations in this regard. I would like to highlight 3 points from this article. Distinctive spiritual relationship. From this, you are left with an understanding that there is a spiritual relationship with water. There is an understanding that there is an interconnectedness. It is life-giving. It is not solely a resource. Traditionally owned or otherwise occupied and used. There is a distinction about owning and occupying and using waters. I think it gives space to be able to get a glimpse of the worldview of many Indigenous peoples who view water as ownerless. Responsibilities to future generations. There is an intergenerational responsibility and recognition that the interconnectedness is also through time with other generations. Clearly, having a spiritual relationship with water, not owning water, knowing that there is an interconnectedness presently and throughout time with water, and the need to uphold responsibilities to future generations would have an impact on the approach undertaken for water governance. As a way to further the discussion on water governance approaches, I want to highlight 2 points. Inuit, which I am an Inuit, like many other Indigenous peoples in each of the 7 socio-cultural regions of the globe, are international peoples. Their homelands transcend state borders. They have had historically and continue to maintain currently relationships across borders. Many Indigenous peoples have governance structures and institutional mechanisms, not unlike the Women in Water Diplomacy Network, already in place to facilitate these relationships. The Inuit Women's Summit Declaration, an outcome of the first Inuit Women's Summit that was held in October 2025, expressed how the delegates collectively felt, and I quote, determined to continue to and strengthen the cross-border cooperation, support, and consultation between Inuit women, including between and within each region and beyond Inuit homelands. Cooperation is built on relationships that are nurtured. There are many different knowledge systems. Science is a knowledge system. It is not the knowledge system. Indigenous peoples' knowledge systems have a rich contribution to make and need to be respected. Finally, I want to end by sharing a relevant excerpt from the report coming out of the most recent session of the Permanent Forum that was held at the end of April. It is found in paragraph 96, and it reads, The Permanent Forum notes with appreciation the preparatory work towards the 2026 United Nations Water Conference to accelerate the implementation of Sustainable Development Goal 6, ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all, and emphasizes the importance of ensuring the full and effective participation of Indigenous peoples in discussions around water governance. Moving forward, each of us can reflect on how we can support and ensure the full and effective participation of Indigenous peoples in discussions around water governance. Indigenous peoples must be engaged as rights holders and partners, not as stakeholders invited only to comment on decisions that have already been taken. Mechanisms must provide formal avenues for Indigenous peoples to contribute. When we come across draft documentation being considered, review with the eye of ensuring Indigenous peoples are meaningfully included. In closing, I share that the Permanent Forum will convene a closed meeting at the next session for Indigenous women and girls to share experiences and identify actions to address gaps in implementing the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. And although it is not specific to water, it is specific to Indigenous women and girls and their views on the implementation of UNDRIP, including Article 25 that I started my remarks with. Thank you. Huyanami.